or you will most assuredly spend the rest of your life in prison or get the death penalty. What incentive is it for you to turn yourself in? Why would you turn yourself in if you know you're just gonna rot away in a prison cell or get killed by the system? So, if you've been following the news, you might have noticed that the Parkland shooter and the families of the victims have been butting heads, so to say. And I'm not gonna show much, but I'm gonna read some from just the Reuters. I don't want to showcase him too much. November 2nd, Nicholas. Why are they showing his name? I don't like them making him more famous than he needs to be. The Parkland shooter, who murdered 17 students and staff. Who murdered 17 students and staff with a semi-automatic rifle at a Florida high school, was formally sentenced to life in prison on Wednesday after listening to hours of anguished testimony from survivors and victims' relatives. A jury voted last month to spare Cruz 24. I don't like this. I don't get it. Why are we doing him famous or making him famous? The death penalty. A jury voted last month to spare him the death penalty, instead choosing life in prison without possibility of parole for one of the deadliest mass shootings in U.S. history. The issue that I have with this isn't necessarily the sentencing. I'm being hyperbolic in the title of this stream. What I have issue with is the general wish for death in the US. The general sentencing, because he got like a few hundred years in sentencing, actually, to be specific. Like, it's just not life without parole. It's like 50 life sentences or something. Or does Florida not do that? Am I wrong? Is this leftist misinfo? I'm looking here at a different news article, but I can't find the specifics. Okay, anyway. The point that I'm making is that obviously, harsher sentencing does not lead to a safer society. Harsher sentencing is not a deterrent for assailants. There's nobody who goes and shoots up a school and thinks while they're preparing themselves, they're not thinking, wait a minute, if I do this, I'm gonna be in jail or prison for the rest of my life, if not the death penalty. Maybe I shouldn't. Nobody thinks that. Absolutely nobody. There's not a soul in the world who thinks that. Because they are mad. Because they're crazy. Because they are they have a single focus, and that focus is death. They want to cause mayhem. They want to cause death. And CNN, MSNBC, Fox, anyone else. And they want to be famous. That's what's driving them. They want to be famous. And in so doing, they want to cause mayhem. Some of them are politically motivated. I don't know about the Parkland Shooter. I don't care about his motives. It doesn't really matter in what I'm saying here. Don't make shooters famous. It just seems like the aim is retaliation, I'm guessing, instead of betterment of the person. Exactly. The families of the victims and the survivors of the shooting were calling for the death penalty. Now, I don't fault them for wanting death to him. That's a completely human emotion. But that doesn't help society. If, hypothetically, you are a criminal, and let's say the police are chasing you, or you're doing something else. You're doing something that will cause the death of, or you will most assuredly spend the rest of your life in prison or get the death penalty. What incentive is it for you to turn yourself in? Why would you turn yourself in if you know you're just gonna rot away in a prison cell or get killed by the system? There is none. There's absolutely no justification for you to turn yourself in. Never turn in, right? Never. Which is why Norway has the absolute best prison system in the world. And there's this news video on it that I thought would be nice to watch together.
Staying in a maximum security prison is not a normal life, but that's also an ambition, to reduce the feeling of being in a prison as much as possible.
And in here you have my cell. So I have DVD and movies from there.
The basic question that we ask ourselves in Norway, what kind of neighbor do we really want? Because they could move into my neighborhood and they could move into your neighborhood. So I think this is an important question to ask ourselves.
This is a prison guard. Or I believe even maybe the head of the prison itself.
Really. That should have an influence on how we work inside prisons.
I mean, that's a crazy number. That's a crazy number. How many... Wait. It's possible that every person in the US, like every person in the US, has been in contact with a prison inmate at some point in their life, either before or after they've been in prison. What percentage is that? Wouldn't I have to do this to get a percentage? No, that's too low. That's way too low. Is it just... Let's do this. Percentage of incarcerated percentage rate. Oh, it's risen since this. How fun. The United States saw a significant drop in the number of states and federal prison and local jail incarcerated dropped by 14%. That's not what I'm interested in. I want to see. Oh, yeah, you can see here. Oh boy. Since the 1980s, straight up. I want to see. Is this U.S. prisons excluding jails as a percentage of the population? Yeah. I'm guessing 0.5%, somewhere there. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people. Half a percent of the population. Oh boy. Not you yet. Not that you know, Jesus. Not what you know. You might not be aware of it. That's the thing. Not many people are, I'm going to say, happy to talk about their stint in prison, right? Most people are going to be low-key about that shit until they know you. Maybe some old classmates have been in prison that you don't have contact with anymore. It's I'm gonna say you probably know of or have been in contact with one person at least who has been to prison at some point. That's I'm fairly certain.
It's not for the prison to judge or to punish. We have to interact and be human. I think it's as simple as that.
These are the guards. Imagine an American guard saying that.
The most important thing is how we treat people. This is the 4 key elements that I would like you to remember. The principle of normality.
There we go. There's the oh my god.
The focus that we have in Norway on humanity inside prisons. What we call dynamic security. And the emphasis that we put on reintegration into society.
I would say the main goal of the trip is for inspiration to go bold back in the United States.
Let's talk a little bit more about Halden then. How do we work and what are the unique things about us?
Actually, you are right now that I think about it. A few coworkers might have gone to prison. Oh my god, a few coworkers. A few. Not just one. I've had one coworker go to prison. Or at least jail. I don't know if he was convicted. But he got caught with possession. So he might have been just gone to jail. But I know because he missed a few days of work. Yeah, but yeah, so, but a few coworkers. Oh my god. Like this prison, okay, before we continue, this prison is not the first prison you go to. This is the rehabilitation center. This is the prison you go to after you've, before you're about to be released into society. you go here, I believe. Maybe they tell you in the video. Just
In
keep
here,
that in
you
mind.
have,
This is the
my cell.
the
I
rehabilitation
have,
center, I
DVD
believe.
and movies from there. Here we have a real toilet with a shower and everything. You know, you can see everybody have their key, so they can open or close their doors whenever they want.
Even though it's nice here, it's still not a summer camp. But I would like you to, you know, look beyond the facilities. It's not the most important thing.
So this is the cell. Every cell is similar. And here we have the kitchen, where I used to prepare the food. You can see here is inside here.
That's a really important principle in Norway, which talks about that taking someone's liberty away and taking them away from their family, away from their community, that in of itself is the punishment.
Yep.
So life inside prisons should look as normal to life in the community as possible.
And in here, you have this washing room.
I mean, you guys seen Shawshank Redemption, I hope. If you haven't, it's an awesome movie. But when the old man gets out of prison, he's been there for like, I don't know, 30, 50, I don't know, remember exactly how many years. But when he went into prison in the movie, there was no cars. There was the town, it was an old town. And then he came out and was a modern town with cars, with shops, and he had to bag groceries for a living. He hung himself because he couldn't take it. He couldn't acclimate into society. You can't remove people completely from societal expectations, societal momentum. It has to have some resemblance so that when you get out, you can feel like it's still a part. It's still how you remember it. Like maybe you don't have a cell phone inside on the daily, but you're used to touchscreens at least. Like stuff like that. So you don't get shocked. Oh my God, there's screens you can touch now. Like how would you, if you went into prison in the 90s and you got out today and you had zero contact with the outside world, you were locked up in a maximum security prison, how the fuck would you acclimate to that? It's impossible. It's absolutely impossible.
You can wash the clothes and...
just stuff like this.
Right.
Staying in a maximum security prison is not a normal life.
And I noticed you're just wearing normal clothes.
Yeah. That's allowed. You can wear whatever you want.
But that's also an ambition, to reduce the feeling of being in a prison as much as possible. That's the normality.
Yeah, Jesus, I've seen that. The Fox segment where they, oh my God, the homeless people are gonna have running water. How nice are we gonna make it for the homeless people? They need an incentive to get back on their feet, or what? They're gonna stop being homeless. How many people in the U.S. stop being homeless? Like there are people who have lived their lives on the streets. They're not gonna stop being homeless just because they get running water. If anything, they go, oh wait, things can be nicer. You learn the guards are friendly and talk to the prisoners. Yeah, that's how it should be.
Normalize
Prisoners,
correctional setting,
correctional
individuals
officers.
transition out. Bigger challenge in our system, but definitely something to think about. The commissary, the stores, where an individual actually gets to go to a real store and pick out commissary items. I think that's a good adds to the normalization.
Corrections officers should be there to teach the inmates, not punish them.
We think this is the most important part. Dynamic security sounds like a very fancy thing, but it's really just having a normal interpersonal relations between the officers, or all staff really, and the inmates. Every inmate has a primary contact officer, and every officer had to have 2 or 3 inmates that he is the contact officer for. That was the ambition, from guard to also be a social worker. The main subjects at the academy: ethics, psychology, communication technique, criminology, law, human rights. Of course, they do learn self-defense, they do learn extraction techniques, they do learn to work as a team, but that's not, that's not the major components. It's about how do you treat people respectfully.
My family always think that I just play games, because that's why I like very much to play games. So I often play cards and stuff with inmates.
I know in some states it's forbidden and will have consequences for you if you interact with inmates as a staff member. Quite the opposite here. We expect
Crazy.
and demand an interaction.
Crazy. You're not allowed to interact with the prisoners? That is insane. No human interactions. Holy shit.
Interaction between staff and inmates.
It's kind of friendship with someone, and to see the progress and see the changes, that's the best way to job.
Can you imagine an American corrections officer saying that? Just, oh yeah, I like seeing how the prisoners grow, how they become better, how they are. I like them when they are. I like the prisoners. Just that. I could never imagine an American corrections officer saying that.
The contact officer is, for example, sitting down with you and making you a future plan. So what for steps by steps to become a free man.
From day one.
Yeah.
So the officers need to know everything about the system.
Did you hear that? That's a prisoner saying that. That's a prisoner saying they are supposed to be my friend. It's this is why the recidivism rate in Norway is so damn low.
And give advice to the inmates about the future, what steps should they take.
Photos of my daughter, big love of my life. I've been here for 1.5 years, but I was transferred from a prison in Brazil. You can compare that to from hell to heaven. So it's a big difference. The guards, first of all. In Brazil, the guards are more you feel bad and weakness, the more they feel good. Here you have the guards, they was very kind to me when I came. They are still very kind. We can speak, they treat me as a human being. In Brazil, you get treated like an animal.
I've been working here since the opening in 2010, and I've been working in other prisons before that also. It's not for the prison to judge or to punish, because the police catch the guy, goes to the court, and it gets a sentence perhaps, and then it comes to prison with that. We have to interact and be human. I think it's as simple as that. It really is, because We can create walls between us, but that doesn't help anything. We have to communicate, we have to interact.
Without approaching people with respect and dignity, it's impossible to sit down the next day and talk about his future, because he will not have any trust in you. So in order to work well with reintegration and future planning, etc., there has to be a foundation there of trust between the staff and the inmates.
I've visited a lot of prisons in the United States as well, and somehow I don't have the same kind of feeling of relief of getting out of an impressive environment that I've experienced coming out of those prisons. Mm-hmm. I think that says something about how different the environment is here.
Get some dental care, woman.
I have big opportunities here to prepare myself for
go see a doctor
after prison. I thought there is still hope. There is still opportunities, to get a good life after getting out. So, yeah.
Okay, that's nice. That's nice. I also, while we're at it, want to share. I'm not sure if this prison system makes money, though. It doesn't make money. That's the point. Or that's part of the point. Prisons shouldn't make money. Making money on prisons is deeply, deeply immoral. I know there have been attempts at introducing privatized prisons here in Sweden. You're joking. Okay, good. Whew. There have been attempts at privatizing prisons here in Sweden, which have been shut down immediately. Specifically, I know the Scientology, is it Narconon? Maybe. They have been attempting to open a private prison here in Sweden. I know they have one, or had one, in Denmark. And it's just crazy. You cannot allow a cult like Scientology to open a fucking private prison. Holy shit. And you cannot allow a cult like fucking capitalists, venture capitalists, to open a private prison. Because what they'll do is they'll think about the bottom line. That's not what prison is about. It's not about making money. That's what selling phones and computers and stuff like that is for. Prisons is for rehabilitation into society. Now, I just want to read this article because I think it's very funny. This is what happened at a prison, I believe a high security prison here in Sweden, when the guards forgot to lock the doors one night. One person was fired for this, I'm sure. At least one person. When the guards forgot to lock for the night, the inmates took care of. Okay, it's Google translated, so it's gonna be some weird sentencing here. They watched a movie, but what the fuck is it? But a felt hot. Okay, anyway, I can just recite. Hey man, if Kanye started prison, oh my god, didn't his school go bust? The prisoners, so the guards forgot to lock the cage or the doors centrally. So one prisoner noticed this, and apparently they don't have cameras at all on them at all times either. Strange, I don't know. But the prisoners decided to watch a movie and bake a cake together as a commune. Now, of course, they can't allow them to have open doors every night because that's gonna be ripe for destruction. But I like that the one night they forgot, they decided to bake a cake. That's Swedish inmates. That's Swedish inmates. The point I'm trying to make here, by going back to the Parkland Shooter for a moment, is that even though I sympathize and empathize, or rather empathize, with the victims of the shooting, with the survivors, with the victims' families, in calling for the death penalty, I don't believe in the death penalty. Now, if we could know, no, not even if we can know for 100% certain that a serial killer is the guilty party, I still don't think we should be calling for the death penalty. Now, if I were the victim of a shooter, or if I were the family of a victim of a shooter, yeah, I'd want them dead. I might take that into my own hands. I don't think the system should kill anybody. Okay, barring euthanasia for what is it called? Suicide, assisted suicide. Barring assisted suicide, which is called for by the person themselves, after a lengthy procedure where you establish there is no hope for a better life. It's just going to get worse and worse and worse. And a psychologist have deemed them to be of sane mind. Barring that, I don't think the system should kill anyone. At all. Ever. Now, of course, police officers are part of the system, and sometimes police officers need to kill people. It's part of the job description. But that's a part of self-defense. They shouldn't. They do, but they shouldn't kill people because they have a knife and there's nobody around and they're just waving it, threatening people. They shouldn't kill that. However, there are situations where a murder from a cop is necessary. There are absolutely situations for that. But an apprehended person who is at no risk to anybody else, my God, my hair looks worse. I have an appointment on Monday. My girlfriend made me do it, or makes me do it. But yeah, no, I'm rambling so fucking much. I can empathize with the Parkland shooters, victims, families, and the survivors. I still don't think calling for the murder is a good idea. I don't think it's a just system. I don't think it helps prevent future killings. Making the shooter famous absolutely helps create new killers in the future. And that is the American system through and through. Here in Sweden, we don't allow, well, we've started to, but there used to be a point where the name of a person or an apprehended person was not deemed newsworthy, even if they are famous. It used to be that we didn't publicize their image or their names, at least until they were convicted. The US system comes from the UK, where the tabloids are happy to publicize any and all images of apprehended people if it's salacious enough. And it's sad because it creates a way of getting famous from crime. And it's stupid. Why would you want people to become famous through crime? I don't know. I'm rambling now. Cut it.